In today's video, we're going to talk through how your staff members can complete their own skill assessments, and also talk through the different reports available to staff members from within their own profile page. Now, it's worth noting, of course, that different organisations will make different types of information available to staff members, so some of what we cover today might not be relevant in your specific situation, but a lot of this video should still be useful, so hopefully you get something out of it. Okay, let's begin by what we can see on this My Summary page for Hazel that we're currently on. Well, first of all, I can see Hazel's name, I can see what team she's a part of, so she's part of the software development team, I can see her role, so she's a senior developer, I can see how many skills she's been assigned, so it looks like she's got 13 skills currently assigned to her, and I can see that she's overdue for a skill assessment. So let's get that out of the way before we talk through any of the other information available on this page here. Okay, so I'm about to do a self-assessment, so that's where a staff member rates their own skills. So I can see that my skills have been assigned to me via the senior developer role here. If I hover my mouse over this skill that I'm seeing here, this Java skill, I can see the description that's been associated with it. And then I can see that this organisation is using a 1 to 5 scale to rate staff. Your organisation could use whatever size scale they're interested in, 1 to 5, 1 to 10, 0 to 10, but in this case we're using the default 1 to 5 scale. If I then move my mouse over the rating scale here, I can see the different descriptions that my organisation has provided for each one of these ratings. So now between the skill description and the rating scale description that I've read, I'm able to understand that I'm probably a level 4 in this skill. And then I'll see that I can rate my interest here. So interest level in skill space gives your organisation a chance to understand what sort of training you'd like to receive, as well as what sort of workplace projects you'd like to be assigned to. So I'm going to say that I'm quite interested in this skill, so I'm going to rate myself a 5. And that's it. You just go through your skills one at a time, rating your skills and your interests, and then when you finish, you might want to give a comment to your supervisor. So for instance, you might want to say that I'm really interested in upskilling in this PHP skill, could I please be assigned some training here? And then you move on to the next skill category. And you'll note that SkillSpace tracks any previous skill assessments that you've done. So if nothing's changed about your ratings for these skills, you can again just click next. And then were I to finish this skill assessment, all of this information here for myself, for Hazel, would update. And so now that we've done a skill assessment, let's talk through what else we can see on this page here. So first of all, I can see my average skill level. So I can tell that for all of the skills that I've given a rating to, my average overall skill rating is 2.77. I can see that my average overall interest rating for all of my skills is 2.23, and I can see that I've got an 81% competence level. So what that means is I'm 81% of the way towards hitting my skill targets. I can see the qualifications that I've been assigned, and so we'll talk more about that in a moment. I can see what are my best skill categories. It looks like I'm quite good in this load balancing skill category. I can see what skills I'm most proficient in. I can see what are my top interests. I can see people with similar skills to me, and I can see areas where I'm keen to improve. So that'd be skills where I've given myself a higher interest rating than my skill rating. Okay. And then before we look at the other sorts of reports available to staff members on their personal profile page, I just want to talk about this widget up here for a moment. So what this little widget or toggle allows you to do is select what type of information you want to view in SkillSpace. So right now it's set to average ratings. And so in SkillSpace, you can view both self-assessments, supervisor assessments, or the combination thereof. Right now, because we've set this to average ratings, we're viewing a combination of what the supervisor has said about me and what I've said about myself. But we can switch that at any time. Okay, so that's how to perform assessments and what's on this summary page. Now let's talk about what's on the skills tab. So on this page here, we can take a deep dive into the skill information that I've collected about myself. So I can see all of the skills that I've been assigned. I can see the target per skill, so this skill has a target of 3. I can see all of the self-assessment information. So with a target of 3 and a self-assessment rating of 3, I'm 100% competent in this skill from a self-assessment perspective. Then there's the interest rating of 1. Then I can see what my supervisor has said about me, so John has said that I'm also a 3 in this skill. And then I can see the average ratings, so I can see where I and my supervisor have disagreed about what my skill level is for each skill. Okay, so that's the skills tab. Now let's look at qualifications. So in addition to tracking skills and interests, SkillSpace can also keep tabs on what qualifications your staff members have. So here in Hazel's case, I can see that Hazel has a computer science degree and that she is a certified project manager. I can see information like status, start date, end date. The end date field can actually be used to remind staff members of when a qualification or certification is set to expire, so Skillsbase can email those staff members reminding them. And you can add additional custom fields here as well. So you might want to add an additional text field or an attachment field so that staff members can upload proof of their qualification. Then we've got the roles tab. So if you have multiple roles, this tab can be useful because then you can assess the skills of one role at a time. The competency tab will help you understand how you're going against your targets per skill. So here in this PHP skill, I can see that I haven't quite hit my target from an averaged ratings perspective. I'm 2.5 against a target of 3. But for this Java skill, I can see that I've got an average rating of 3 and my target's 3, so I'm 100% competent in this skill. Then there's trends. So trends can show me how I've improved over time. So it looks like in this skill category, I've actually gotten better since I first started here, which is fantastic news. It means that the training that my organisation is providing me is clearly working, or the self-development that I'm undergoing is clearly working as well. And then we arrive at assessments. So here you can get a PDF summary of any of your previous assessments. So let's download this one here. And there we go. So I'm Hazel, I can see I'm part of the software team, I can see when this assessment was completed, my skills are assigned to me according to my role, I can see the ratings that I provided for each skill level, as well as the interest rating I provided, and I can see any comments that I left as well. Okay, now let's look at the training module. So inside of Skillsbase, there are a number of ways, of course, that you can identify your skill gaps. But identifying skill gaps is only part of the problem, because ideally your organisation is then helping you to overcome those skill gaps and helping you to upskill. Now your organisation can provide training outside of Skillsbase, but providing training can also be managed from within Skillsbase as well. And that's where the training module comes in. So the way it works is if your organisation has any training material online anywhere, so it could be a YouTube video, a Google document, an LMS module, they can get the URL of that training material and give it a name, and then they can assign that training material to a specific skill and skill level. And so anytime that you've been identified as having a skill gap, Skillsbase can then assign you the training material that is precisely relevant to you. And so what that means is everyone in the organisation gets their own personalised, always up-to-date training recommendation list. And then when you're ready, you can just jump to the training module and click Start Course. And that will take you to where that training material is located. So there's both an automated way of assigning training material, which is what I just spoke through, and there's also a manual way. So if you click on Add Training, then supervisors can assign you specific training, and you may also be able to assign yourself any training that you're interested in. Okay, so now let's talk about the Career Insights module. So what you can achieve with this module here is compare not just where you're at against the role or team that you've currently been assigned, but against every role and every team in the entire organisation. So for example, I've been assigned the Senior Developer role. That's what that little tick there means. And so naturally I've got 13 out of the 13 skills required to be a Senior Developer. And I can see that I've hit 81% of the targets required of me in this role. But if I click down to this General Manager role, I can see that I've only got 13 out of the 25 skills required to be a General Manager, and that I'm only 49% of the way towards hitting all the targets for this role. Over on the right hand side here, I can see additional information about how I'm going in this role. And I can see in this right hand column here, this related training option. So what this allows you to do is you can self-select additional training to add to your training module. And so that can be useful if you want to upskill in skills that you haven't even been assigned yet, or you want to upskill in skills that you've been assigned but have a smaller skill target than what you're interested in personally reaching. And so that is the Career Insights module. And then the last report that I'd like to show you today is over here under the Actions button. So if I click on the summary page here, I can see all this nice information here, but I can't share that with anyone outside of Skillsbase. If I wanted to, I could instead click on this Export PDF button. And what that will do is it will make a PDF version of all that summary information that I saw. I hope this video was useful.